Welcome to RSAC Conference 2025. We're recording from the CyberRisk TV studio at the Marriott Marquis in San Francisco. Thank you to the sponsor of today's media partner program, CyberSG TIG Collaboration Center. I'm your host, Adrian Sanabria, and joining me for this interview is Dr. Edwin Lee,
Thank you.
CEO at Cybernatics. Welcome. How
Thank
are you?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, so I'm just learning about your company here, and I love that you're SMB focused. You're focused on small to mid-sized companies. There's so much of the market that old mentor of mine, Wendy Nather, coined the term security poverty line.
Yes.
Because so much technology, you can't afford below the Fortune 1000 or the Global 2000, and very important space, because they're targeted as well, right? So you've got an interesting slogan here. We see what you don't see. Can you tell me a little bit about that, where that slogan comes from and what it refers to?
Yeah. So when we were starting out the company, we were engaging with a branding marketing consultant.
Yeah.
So we were kind of like, what should the slogan be, right?
Yeah.
And they came up with this: we see what you don't see. Of course, before that there were many iterations, But when we heard that, I was like, wow, this is us, right?
It's very natural.
Yeah, it's very natural. We see what you don't see, kind of like someone in the skies taking care of you, kind of thing. Yeah. So yeah, we liked it.
Yeah, and a lot of small businesses, if they have any security people, it's outsourced. Typically, they're using a managed service provider, and it's it's not something that they think about unless they're forced to. And usually by then, often it's too late. Something bad has already happened, and so I imagine like for a small business, that would provide some comfort, right? Like these safety features of a car that. I think normally when people are driving in the car, they don't think there's an airbag inside this panel,
correct.
inside this panel. They don't think that they're there, but they do draw some comfort in knowing that it's there.
Knowing that it's there.
Yeah.
Knowing that it's there, but yet not in their face. I think that's really important.
Yeah, not increasing friction,
correct.
not stopping them from getting work
So
done.
from a user experience, it has to be kind of like seamless. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so is that the mission here? To provide some of this some enterprise grade security for these smaller businesses, and what does that market look like? Is it did you find something missing in the market when you created this? And if so, like how did you go after this market, because it's a little bit more than just endpoint security that you're doing here.
Yes.
So maybe tell me a little bit about the product strategy and the market strategy.
So the history, my career, I've been in consulting for almost 3 decades now. Started my career with Accenture and HP, DXC Technology. All of our clients are the large enterprises, government agencies. And I did good work, as a company, as I took over a company, we also did good work with all these enterprises and governments. But we realized one thing, that SMBs are the most vulnerable in our ecosystem. Like you mentioned a very good point, right? The security poverty line, right? There's a key phrase. I'm going to borrow it going forward, right? Because in my, my nick is also Dr. Cyber Pastor. While, I'm now building a cybersecurity software. I'm in cybersecurity for several years, but I'm also a lay pastor. I go on mission trips, to like impoverished societies, like in the Philippines, to Indonesia, and many times it hurts my heart that there are children in developed countries like in the US, in Singapore, that are complaining, they don't have the latest iPad, but yet the kids in Philippines and Indonesia, they are just looking for the next meal. Right. And, just translate that to the SMB space. The big enterprises, they have budgets, like to spend on the bells and whistles of cybersecurity. But the SMBs, number one, sometimes they don't know what they don't know, right? They don't even know what they need to have to protect their business.
Right.
And it's a vicious cycle,
Yeah.
right? And then we see, almost half of all cyber attacks are targeted at SMBs,
Yeah.
the small and medium businesses, because they're the most vulnerable,
Yeah.
right? They're the least protected, and so for the hackers,
Mhm.
they're kind of like easy targets,
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think it makes sense, that there is a precedent for how to package this for small businesses, right? They don't have the sophistication to know, okay, I need a WAF, I need endpoint security, I need, so I need RSA Archer, right? They need something that's packaged up. So like when a SMB buys insurance, oftentimes it's one big policy that covers a whole bunch of different things that they need. And somebody at the insurance place, knows what to include in that package that business is going to need. And it seems kind of similar to what you're doing here, where, you could just sell, even endpoint security. Oftentimes, you need a bunch of different products to cover what is needed on endpoint. But when you're selling to SMB, they don't know what to buy, right? So it sounds like you're handling some of that for them.
Correct, yeah. Because to the SMB buyer, typically the owner himself, he doesn't know what is XDR, he doesn't know what is SIEM,
Right.
what is...
He doesn't have time to learn all these buzzwords.
I mean, these are all jargon that, it's like foreign. It's like Greek or Hebrew to them, right?
It is. It's a different language, yeah.
So to them, basically, as a small business owner, we've found the key questions that they are asking is, can I get protection from ransomware, right? Which is predominantly the cyber attack that's infiltrating a lot of SMBs. Can I get protection from the ransomware? And at the same time, they're now under pressure by their upstream buyers to comply with some of the flow downs. And many of these flow downs now contain cybersecurity risk management. Now to the SMB owner, he looks at that as like, what is this? He doesn't even know where to start, right? And he goes to a typical consultant. The consultant is going to quote them like five-figure sum to get them compliant. They're like, whoa, it's too much, right? Yeah. So what we've done is we've packaged our software into a SaaS, right? A subscription platform, starting from as low as just under $5 per device per month. Making it really affordable. So we want
and the pricing's right there in the website.
You're right on the website, and increasingly we are going to add modules. So customers can kind of add modules for them to generate compliance reports, etc., etc. Yeah, all our intention is to keep it really affordable, and for those that need more, you can just pay a little bit extra. And we're also rolling out, because as we roll out our software, we're also listening to the market, like what customers are asking for. They're asking, software is great, but can I have like a little bit of an advisory as a service? They don't need a full-blown, right? They don't need a full CISO, but, they would just want maybe twice a month. Can I have someone to have a chat, like what we're doing now, right? 30-minute chat. So we are rolling out our CISO as a service powered by our Cybernatics software, right? Yeah. So we wouldn't call it like an MDR as a service, but kind of like somewhere in between, where SMBs will have that comfort that they have someone to talk to, right? Of course, not all SMBs will need it, not all will want it, but for those that need it and want it, we just want to be the one-stop shop. You don't have to worry. Just come to us. We'll take care of everything for you, right?
Yeah. It's interesting. It's and on the compliance side, I'm interested to hear, like, because sometimes a small business is actually doing something fairly technical, something that does require quite a bit of security. I think a lot of people think of a small business as a restaurant or something like that, where, aside from a payment solution, they don't need a whole lot, but you have small businesses doing medical research. You have small businesses doing some fairly high-tech stuff where they actually, they're going to need to call somebody up and, there's this regulation I have to deal with. So I kind of want to jump into that a little bit and understand, like, what are some of the compliance, some of the regulations that you see small businesses having to deal with? Because I think for a lot of people, maybe they don't have a good idea of what that might be versus, large businesses. We know, if you do over 1 million, 2 million credit cards, you have to do PCI DSS, right?
Yeah. So you touch a good point, because there are small businesses that are like health tech, right? And they're building some, innovative healthcare solution, but they will be regulated by, for example, HIPAA, right?
Yep.
And there'll be the fintechs, and then they'll be regulated by all the monetary regulations. It could be in country where they are based, and we've recently helped by providing a CISO as a service for what is it? It's a crypto asset management company, right? And they're trying to incorporate in Bermuda, and Bermuda will have their tech regulations, right? Cybersecurity risk, and so we've been helping them. So they're small, like they're like less than 20 people. So they are small, but they are doing really high tech stuff.
Yeah.
So and then they need, right? So compliance is top of their list. But for a lot of SMBs who are like part of the global supply chain, perhaps the generic compliance with CIS benchmarks or some of this common like ISO 27001. They need some help to get started. Where do they get started so that they can at least show the artifact, to report up to their upstream buyers.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so tell me a little bit about what's next for Cybernatics in terms of growth. I didn't have a chance to look up, but I don't know how big your company is, but you're talking here about a NASDAQ IPO, so must not be a small company at this point. Or just experiencing huge growth, right?
So we've been experiencing a lot of traction. Of course, our software is being used in governments in Asia Pacific, and now with a SaaS, SMBs around the world are just kind of like subscribing to it. So that is driving our upward trajectory in terms of revenue, growth, etc. To the point about how big our company is, now with a lot of AI tools out there, really we do not need to grow our team from a human resource standpoint. That we don't need to hire so many people now. We just need to hire like intelligent, brilliant people, and leveraging AI tools. And one of the things that is in our product roadmap is a possible agentic CISO, agentic AI CISO, right? And today is, we do have CISOs in our company that offer that as a service to several of our clients. But in future, it could be agentic, and we just need 2 or 3, top CISOs who are like good at, building these AI models. And over time, we're going to be able to offer this to anyone in the world, any business in the world.
Yeah.
And that's going to be revolutionary. Right.
Yeah, it's. I was actually talking to somebody yesterday who has a zero trust practice. He just does zero trust consulting specifically, and he built this. He built a agentic model with a RAG behind it, and fed it just tons and tons of PDFs of his own work, his own reports, and things like that. And he was just going on and on about how impressed he was at the. Not only how good the results were out of it, but the first thing I was assuming is, okay, yeah, sure, if you just ask basic questions. He was like, no, like even advanced stuff.
Correct.
It was able to generate useful things and walk you through and answer advanced questions as well.
Yeah, and that's the key, right? The traditional model is, I've got to throw more developers in, to do this. But today, yes, we still need developers, to continuously improve the product. But at the same time, we will need a lot of, I guess, in my mind, it will be the thought leadership.
Yeah.
Right? Not so much AI developers, because they're, out there in the world. You may have heard, a lot of people say, oh, I can develop AI, but can they, right? You really need the thought leadership to be able to prompt the AI, and with building all these AI agents and all that. Yeah.
You need somebody to do quality assurance.
Correct.
On the output, right? Because to anyone who doesn't know it, maybe it all sounds good, but I've seen, some of the like very early versions spit out exactly the kind of stuff that, people roll their eyes and they're like, oh, that's terrible advice, But yeah, it's thinking about a lot of the advisory work that I do with a lot of enterprises and clients. I do some, it's not virtual CISO work, but somebody has a vulnerability management problem. Like I have a checklist in my brain, and it's the same conversation I have every time. And having used this LLM technology for a while, it would not shock me at all to see this LLM. Like if I feed it my notes from those calls, I would not be shocked to see it sound pretty much exactly like I do on one of these calls.
Right.
Yeah, that's great stuff. All right. Thank you, Edwin, Dr.
No,
Edwin,
thank you.
so much for joining me
Thank
today.
you, Adrian.
Great conversation.
Yes.
Learned a lot about your company. And to find out more about Cybernatics, please visit securityweekly.com/Cybernatics RSAC. For all RSAC 2025 coverage by Cyber Risk Alliance, including the other 6 interviews from our media partner program with CyberSG TIG Collaboration Center, please visit securityweekly.com/RSAC. Thanks again, Edwin.
Thank you.
Yeah.